It's levels to this, baby.
Hello,
And if your
hello,
goal is,
hello.
I want somebody who's dumb as
So,
rocks, that tells me, oh, okay, he want to be able to tell her what's right and what's wrong. He don't want a woman. But men who say, no, I want somebody to show me something I don't know, and I'm going to set my ego aside because I done set up here and tricked off 20 years, 25 years in the streets, and I don't know what I'm talking about. So let me see how she rocking this shit, and let me kind of put my
hello,
ego to the
Gina.
side and see if she willing to help me kind of get
Hey,
where I need to get to.
what are you listening to?
That's the difference.
I was listening to Tesla Figaro. She's online right now and
Talk
talking
real
about
good.
relationships. And I thought it was very kind of relatable to this week, or just the energy of the week, the Two of Spades, because it is about relationship partnerships. Um, she's talking about the dynamics and perception of dating older women. And I think relationship talk has been a very seemingly lucrative
Mhm.
conversation this year, just overall, the past 2 to 3 years actually. So, and just going into the two of spades, it can be about work, relationships, partnerships. I also look at it as far as karma or destiny. Some of those relationships and partnerships that I think seems to be inevitable, you know. So when you have like soulmate kind of like energy, I think two of hearts is more of like soulmate. I feel like the two of spades is like for better or worse. Like it's like the you didn't even know what was gonna happen until you married, you know. Or trying to kind of deep into it type of connections. So yeah, two of spades. It can be an obsessive energy as well, but it deals with labor, work, and relationships and partnerships. How was your week?
Uh, Roller coaster ride. We dealing with the storm, and I realize how exhausting that is. Like the next day, once it was all like over with for the most part, it's just so you're tired because again, I think the stress,
Mhm.
that you go through just to kind of get through the storm and everything, and then the night of, um, we were really lucky. I'm very grateful that, we didn't have any like kind of crazy damage. We didn't even lose power, which is just, I'm still in
That's
shock about that because my neighborhood, my street loses power all the time.
mm
Um, but I guess the front part of my neighborhood did lose power, but back here we didn't, which is a blessing because we literally always lose power. So I was really grateful for that. And it's just these last few days, just tired, because again, you're just kind of assessing everything. We went out yesterday for the first time, I think it was, to kind of just see what, there were some houses around here that had trees down. And there is still flooding around here, but I think that's just been the most focus this week is, getting through the weather. Has been a really interesting, few weeks with it.
Yeah, I kind of spoke about fear and even looking at the two of spades, the fear that can be all twos, two of clubs, two of spades, two of hearts, fear of relationships. It can even happen outside of just being soulmate. There can be, um, I guess you can say, built up habits that create, I think, fear or anxiety around things. But outside of just relationships, the two of spades can be considered, fear as far as the work and partnerships or any of those things. So, but yeah, I was just thinking about, just that word and how that can be fear mongering, how we say it, fear mongering,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of happened from the past incidents, from the past weeks, and everyone trying to leave and scared of what's going to happen. So that just came to mind. But yeah, I can see that can be very nerve wracking, and I can say I can know I would be probably scared. I know I was in a tornado. It was a tornado in Myrtle Beach, and my cousin was like, "If it's your time to go, it's your time to go." I'm like, what are you talking about? This is not.
We should go the other way.
Yeah, right. Let's go the other way. Like, get out of here. That is not what I'm on right now.
Right.
But so the two of spades is the fear of the will of God. And that's what it is. So that's why I was like the destiny and things kind of happen, and having faith, and what's going to happen is you leave it up to God, right? But that's not a time period where I want to leave anything up to God in the middle of a hurricane.
Right. No, it was, that's the thing with the storms. It's like they do hype it up, and I think because, and we were talking about this in another space, that I was using the cards to kind of really, focus on the energy of the storms. And with Helene being a 10 of clubs, it's like we all learned, it kind of taught us something of, when there's that kind of like storm, we should not stay. And you saw a lot of people actually did leave. And that's not what typically happens here. People are like, F these weather people. They don't know what they're talking about. They're always hyping stuff up, And this time, though, I think because we just had Helene prior, people are like, oh, no, I'm out. Like, I'm not going to deal with this one. And they did. They hyped it up. They definitely used the fear because it was a 5. They had the guy on the TV crying. I'm like, oh, Jesus.
Yeah, he was.
But then it weakened, which, I mean, thank God it did, because 5 to 3, even though to most that might not be, but it's significant when the winds exceed 150 miles an hour and not, so it definitely, you could see the fear. And I remember the day of, I was like, I stopped watching any kind of like updates. I just said, I can't, because it'll make you crazy. And at the same time, it can always track a different way, in 5 minutes, now it's south, and now it's not going to hit here. So you really, really don't know until it like actually hits where it's going to hit. And then what was wild was the fact that it actually did produce tornadoes all the way on the East Coast hours before it even hit. And that was, and Florida, we had, I think, over 100, like a mass amount of like tornado warnings, more than the state has probably ever seen. And then to have that many tornadoes hit down in one time is unprecedented here, especially. This isn't like, Tornado Alley or anything. So definitely very interesting, week. But you have definitely seen a lot. When I was talking about on the show the other day, it's like the 2 of spades being that card of brotherly love, and this kind of force people to, help thy neighbor. What do you need? What can I do for you? Hey, and you see all in like the local pages, hey, where can I find gas? Hey, I got a chainsaw. I can come help cut down trees. Hey, I didn't use this ice. Does anybody need it? So you definitely see, I guess the best side of these storms is that they really do bring people together. Now, I will say this, over in Tampa right now, at least as of today, there were, lines for gas, and people, like, they had to have the police at the gas stations because people are, kind of on edge because you're waiting 3 hours to get gas, because there hasn't, even here still, there are gas stations that don't have gas. So now you got people in like fear, panic mode. And, I think what people have to realize, the gas will come, it'll come. It's just, I think people get, afraid that they're never going to be anymore. Well, if that's the case, no, not gonna matter how long you sit in this line because it's going to be gone. Mm-hmm. But, you saw both sides. You saw people helping each other. You saw people acting from a space of fear. So it's definitely been an interesting week for sure. But it, again, helping everybody and coming together, and, you saw a lot of that. And I don't know if you have TikTok and you've seen this whole Lieutenant Dan situation there in Tampa with the guy and the boat, and that like took over social. It's wild how something so quickly though can like spread, and the way that whole situation has gone like back and forth between the whole, the people trying to help him, it was just it was entertaining to say the least, right? As they're going through a hurricane, to be watching this back and forth scenario of these people wanting to help this guy, and him riding out the boat on both the storms. It's been very entertaining to say the least.
what I hear you talking about with the gas thing, it's like it's that lack mentality. I feel like every time we get struck by the lack mentality, that's a consciousness choice. That's like a pull up, like, don't go there, don't go there. Like, you can start to swim down there and think it's true. Like, no, 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 lack mentality is not real. But it's hard, I guess, once the fear sets in and it's pumped back at you and you see it, you worry, that could be me, that could be me, that could be my kid. And then, you can't think clear anymore.
And that's what happened. People are, acting out of that space of there's not going to be enough, there's never going to come again, whatever the case may be. I mean, it was wild to be in the store the day before, a couple of days, and like the things that were missing, things that you run out of. And again, I was like, I mean, if you want to stimulate the economy, create a hurricane, create a storm, because people be out there like spending, on all kinds of crazy stuff,
no matter the price.
So what's that lieutenant's card, Rashad?
I'm not sure. It's hard to look up people like that birthdays because they're not like, documented completely unless you like got find my people or been verified. And I'm not giving anybody clues on how to stalk anybody or nothing, but yeah, it's kind of complicated as far as finding people birthdays.
Yeah, so. I don't know his birthday, and his name isn't even Lieutenant Dan. It's just what they called him because it reminds them of Lieutenant Dan from Forrest Gump.
Yeah, before I even seen him, like before I seen it on TikTok, I seen it on Lil Duval's thing, and I was like, he reminds me of Lieutenant Dan. And then I go on TikTok, people are actually calling him Lieutenant Dan and have been calling him that for months now. So it's not. He stayed around the last hurricane, right?
Helene. He stayed on his boat for Helene, and he was going to stay on his boat for Milton, and he did apparently. And that the whole thing was like this. I don't really pay too much attention, but I guess this one guy was the one who like saw him and got him on the TikTok. And then like another big couple, like big TikTok people, I guess they're streamers or something or whatever that's called. And they were like, one guy offered him a lot of money and a new boat. And listen, money makes people real funny. And you saw that too. You saw the back and forth. Like it played out so well for the Two of Spades because the Two of Spades energy, if you're not doing what I think you should do for me, it becomes like trying to control. And you were seeing like they were like bouncing back and forth between this guy that was like just trying to help him. This one guy had to come on TikTok and like basically break down everything because he was getting death threats and he was getting threatened by people. Like it was wild because of, and then apparently the guy's daughter got on TikTok and was like, I don't even know him. You doing this to him is actually going to be the worst thing for him. And so you just basically saw a lot of back and forth and, trying to, everybody wanted a piece of him in, some way. Like they really did see probably the money that this guy, because of his story, his resilience, his stubbornness, and people love a story. And so that's what they were trying to do, capitalize on it. And it may be to this gentleman's demise because he may not be in a healthy space mentally to where, listen, you give someone who has no self-control, who has no discipline, who has no, just making the best decisions, $150,000 he could be dead in 2 days because you don't know does he struggle with addiction. You don't know much about the man to then just give him all this attention, give him all this clout, give him all this money. And there was one video like he was on and he looked like he was like on drugs. And I think that's when the daughter made a video because they're like, you don't know what my dad has been through. Like, this is like actually the worst thing you could do for him is by giving him all this attention and the money and stuff. So it was just literally because I've done nothing for the last 3 days in my house. I've been watching this story unfold on TikTok and it's been wild to see it. But it is to me very much Two of Spades. Like, are they really your friends? Are they really someone who cares about you and your well-being, or are they really trying to get something from you because they see you have this kind of appeal? You have this ability to probably increase their views, increase their revenue, and so there was like people telling him he should lawyer up, like I said, you throw a bunch of money at things, people get real funny. So
Yeah, so there is a kind of a saying with the two of spades. There's a fine balance between there is a fine balance to be sought between spiritual ideas and sound business tactics. So like you say, you want to know what's in the best interest of him. And making sure that he's not, you know, in the best place mentally, spiritually, physically. And people not just doing anything just for their own personal benefit can be kind of tricky.
Right.
Kind of blur the lines a little bit. And he was talking about dependency issues and control issues. That's a two of spades thing as well. Not saying they are, but I can imagine having the two, eight of hearts, king of spades, Neptune, but just in general in relationships, just finding balance in relationships. Sometimes it's hard because people, once you think with your emotions and you think what's best for someone, and you start to paint a picture, that may not be reality, and it can get kind of blurry. What you think is best for someone may not be what's best for them, without asking questions and trying to figure out what it is that they're wanting, what they're thinking. So definitely the two of spades energy for sure. I can see that.
Yeah. You know, when you're dealing with twos, you're dealing with the partner, you're dealing with others. And like I said, this guy, his man was just chilling on his boat. He was just chilling on his boat. And all of a sudden, all these people, and like I said, people are opportunistic. People see, oh man, this guy, like all we got to do is stream him. Because I guess there's like the money in the streaming stuff and that's like not my not my wheelhouse, but
Mhm.
there's a lot of money in it apparently. And so, they saw that. They saw the opportunity. They jumped on it. And then you had another guy who just came out of nowhere and was trying to get him. And then another, it was wow. People had to come and make videos and like explain themselves. And this is very, very interesting back and forth. But now my page hasn't brought me back to Lieutenant Dan, so they must have been on another algorithm because they don't see it anymore. So I
After
don't know what the hell happened to them.
after it goes viral and
Yeah, it's like
you're on to
that's
the
it.
next thing.
Yeah,
Everybody's on to the
something
next.
else will come around.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard, that everyone, I think, want to have probably his best interests at heart for real. But even for himself, like his mental health, it's hard to help people with mental health issues because they're blind in their own, like I say, in their own reality. You really don't know, or I won't say you don't know, is you have no idea of what they're thinking or their perspective. So I kind of mention that because two of spades has a king of spades and Neptune, and that I think can be seen with a lot of mental illness sometimes, or also being in a mental asylum somehow. But or if not, it can be the highest form of that is spirituality and being under a guru or a master. So it is a really spiritual card, and finding, seeking spiritual understanding, or just understanding of people. Because the King of Spades can also be schizophrenia, from what I've been explained how I've read it, because it holds the 52 cards. There's like 52 personalities. So it's kind of like a Joker. So you can read the Joker as the King of Spades, or some people may read it as the Jack of Spades, if I'm not mistaken, and maybe the Two of Hearts. Maybe I'll have to go back and see about the Two of Hearts. But
Did you freeze?
yeah, that's two cards that
What were you saying, Rashad?
the people can read the Joker.
Oh.
Like if you're playing the Joker card or someone's the Joker birthday, they could be read as the Two of Hearts, if I'm not mistaken, and the King of Spades, but
Ace of Hearts.
Ace of Hearts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Ace of Hearts and the
King of Spades. Depending on what time they're born is what we're taught.
Mm-hmm. So I also can see the Jack of Spades too, from certain books may say the Jack of Spades.
Yeah, I could see that. Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, just in the essence of mental illness and the Two of Spades of delusion, sometimes we can be delusional for ourselves. So seeking advice and seeking other people powerful, seeking, taking the advice of other people is hard, and especially for those who have mental illness. I think because that feeling of being controlled, of someone telling you what to do, and yeah, I think and they kind of hate that. And I'm not sure as far as like Madeline in your practices and those things when you have those issues or you see those things and or what it would be referred to as when people have an issue with authority.
Well, yeah, I mean, and I think it's interesting how you started with how we can really get caught believing something and living it like it's true, even if it's not true, right? So that authority sometimes is like what you think is right, what you think is what it should be, right? And so I'm noticing how, especially working with younger people more and more, the parents aren't able to meet the changes in the children because they hold the children in a certain idea.
Mm-hmm.
So the child is encased in this shield that the parent made to decide what that kid was going to be like, and they're kind of pushing through it and breaking out of it. And so everybody has to have an open mind. And I've been in that too, a spade story. I took a pretty deep ride on that one, and it finally got to where I had to be super super clear that I was not holding the same vision ever, and I feel bullied by the push, and I understand there's a desire to be, something you think I should be, but I'm not that, and I'm not going to be that. And I tell you, between working in hospitals, going into colleges, all the things I've done, I stayed pretty much with what I believed. That was the strongest influence and manipulative undercurrent I ever experienced in that two of spades dynamic. Like playing on all my guilt and all my things to get me to do what they thought I should do based on who they thought I was. And it really shocked me how hard it was to break out of it, because it is such a sweet spot. Like a two loves you like crazy. Like they're so good to you. They're so thoughtful. They're so present, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's where you feel authentic or safe, because they have a very strong idea of how it should be. And I'm finding that that's what's happening in some of the families I'm working with, is the family has really strong ideas of the way the child should be, and it's not making room for the child to explore or even find out for themselves what they might like or not like, because they're so busy fighting about it. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that we're going to all stop fighting. I'm glad to see that that's going to happen more and more easily every day. But it's an interesting thing, the way our mind can hold things so tight. And no matter what another person says, we're not even listening. We're just going back to how we're right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's good. Go ahead.
I'm not saying not everybody lives there. I don't mean to be a downer about it, but it is part of what swims in the waters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, reaching a mutual understanding, I think, in relationships, speaking to someone instead of listening, are some of the biggest problems we have. And I even have, I was, like I said, I opened up with Tesla Figueroa because she's hilarious, first of all. And then also she was talking about relationships and just being able to um, date up as men. I think sometimes is hard, and why it could be hard is having to remove your ego.
What does it mean to date up? I don't know what you're saying.
What dating a woman that is more successful than you,
Oh,
or that maybe more financially well off as you,
okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
could be. It can be difficult for some men, I think, sometimes because the ego gets involved, and then also there could be, I think, environment. I would say environment, social pressures as well. The way that you may look, the way things may seem from the outside. Looking in and people not understanding maybe the relationships, and maybe you feel judged. But also I see that sometimes from just people speaking is a respect level and listening, and listening to the woman, their intuition. Not just, I think that's all relationships, but I think if someone says, or the issue with dating up and is taking on or having someone that's more powerful than you, or maybe a little bit more intelligent than you, and they're not talking down to you, and you're not feeling belittled, because we all want to feel like we're empowered, we all want to feel like we're in control, especially I think sometimes as far as men within relationships. So just all relationships, I think, but that kind of dating up thing, as far as the topic and subject, and listening to women and listening within the relationship, and making sure that you're not speaking to someone and not listening to them. I think sometimes is an issue and cause issues within relationships. I've seen myself there, not just in the financial thing as far as dating up, but just me not understanding that this person was actually trying to, give me the best advice, and they wasn't speaking down on my decision making, and not taking it and not being insecure within that relationship. Sometimes it's an issue. And it could be a two-way street. I probably and I maybe didn't feel heard, like my ideas wasn't heard as well, So meeting someone within relationships and understanding them. I think the King of Spades is the understanding. That's why it's the King of Spades. It has the 52 cards. So that center point of understanding is elevation as far as spiritual, is the King of Spades and where you're supposed to get to. But like I said, that can also be on the other side is being highly critical, being critical of other people, not being able to take criticism. At 29, I had the King of Spades in the moon position. Probably one of the worst years of my life. My sister probably told me I wasn't oh yeah, no, I'm just playing. But she was highly critical of me, and her critique wasn't of me personally. It was just my mindset, right? So I think sometimes taking advice and getting advice from someone that may be, and I'm not going to say that everyone just spiritually advanced, but maybe just in that mind at that point, her advice was on a higher level than where I was mentally at that particular time. And I was kind of being the Debbie Downer. I was, but, but I should have been more secure, and it wouldn't have felt as bad at that moment. But I definitely had the King of Spades in the moon, which is defining a woman, possibly, or your mother, or that motherly energy being highly critical to you. And the Two of Spades, King of Spades, and Neptune can kind of present that energy as well. Either seeing your partner as being critical, or you being critical, and reason that's kind of important, like we said, Two of Spades is work relationships, partnerships, so outside of just romantic relationships, work relationships and partnerships can be seen in this type of energy as well, when you're not understanding of the person that you're working with and their personality and their habits and your goal of what you want to get done, right? Because Two of Spades, it's work. We have a goal. There's an objective here, right? Either spiritually or work-wise.
Wouldn't you say also too with that King of Spades being in Neptune, though, that they at times may even struggle with like spirituality, or having even being like, because it's in Neptune and it's the King of Spades, like it may be harder to connect. But also I can see addictions with their spread, because of the Queen of Hearts and the Three of Hearts and the King of Spades. Like I think they can get addicted to people. I think they can get addicted to intimacy. I mean, connecting with others. I think there's some deep addictive energy, or potential having. Let me get it out. Having addictions, whether it's to food, whether it's to sex, whether it's to people. I feel like they also have those tendencies as well. And that King of Spades and Neptune can be, well, like you said, being critical. I think that they have a hard time sometimes, again, like connecting, seeing other people objectively, connecting to like a spiritual, base principle. Sometimes with that card there. Now, I feel like they also, when they really tap into that card, can overcome anything that kind of is thrown at them, but they really do have to do a lot of work internally and really be able to see themselves, without the others, without anything else, and they really see the power, because their work card is the Ace of Clubs. So yeah, they really do, yes, it's a card of partnerships, but they have to, have that individual, ality to them, and really be able to kind of forge their own path. I feel, with those cards, but I feel like they struggle with addictions too.
Yeah, the energy is definitely can be, like you said, it can be sexual addictions that can come about for sure. You have the Three of Hearts and Pluto, King of Spades, and like you said, Neptune. Neptune is always is
They're
usually.
the ones creeping.
I can't say I can't say I had an experience, and either you're creeping, the Two of Spades is creeping, or somebody is creeping them as well, or stalking them because of those addictions and things that are created in the understanding. And because like I said, it's like, what are we working on? You're working on a relationship, so it's like when you come on that Two of Spades energy, it's like a marriage, and there can be deja vu and those reminders that can come up. But definitely the Three of Hearts and Pluto can also be curiosity as far as sexually. If they're not super religious, because of the King of Spades, can be either blindly religious. That can be the issue. That can be blindly into their faith based upon maybe their lifestyle or how they was brought up, or their parents being very, very strict, within the household, some type of religious experience for sure that they're going to come under, and that can elevate to maybe more universal understanding where they understand other people's other sexualities, curiosities, and those things as well. It's Three of Hearts is telling you open up, be fun, be understanding, and it's kind of, you gotta think about it. So you have the King of Spades, and then you have the Three of Hearts. King of Spades is like, no, this is how it goes, and Three of Hearts is like, let's just enjoy it, and let's, you know, see the options and add some variety and spice it up a little bit. So that can be contradicting or conflicting lifestyles of maybe something that comes out of it as well. But yeah, for sure, it can be lead to addiction. So like I said, either mental health asylum or maybe you being very spiritual in the church somewhere. So
It's interesting how those things come together, right? Because what I'm noticing in this Two of Spades spread is how intelligent they are, how much intelligence they have in there, with that King of Clubs, right, coming in, then that Nine of Clubs supporting the Queen of Hearts with the heart, but that Seven of Hearts going into the Eight and your Mercury, that's going to be really sensitive, like really sensitive. So a lot of times with mental illness, it's the emotional well-being of the character that is either stable and able to manage itself, or there's something that gets made in their head that they start to grow to kind of leave the building. Because mental illness has so much to do with your ability to emotionally manage yourself, because your mind will activate based on your discomforts and it'll make up stuff.
Yeah, I actually did have a experience where I had to deal with someone mentally ill this week, and I'm trying to. I was my Five of Clubs. It was during that Five of Clubs day. I said I had to take a trip, and yeah, it was a conversation. I've always grew up around someone that had paranoid schizophrenia, and then one of my favorite movies was featuring the character John Nash, A Beautiful Mind, has is concerning that as well. So I've always been understanding of like schizophrenia, of how people can go in, they can be normal 1 second and not be normal the next second, and it can usually based upon emotional memories or things that have been that leave an impression.
How they feel in their nervous system, right? So the emotional memory is like with a 2 with that 7 and an 8, like it's going to activate stuff in such a big way, right? Because when something gets activated and you don't have a skill set, you go to Old Faithful here and you get to your story.
Yeah.
Interesting. Always about balancing that heart and mind, eh?
Yeah, it's tough, and that was a conversation that I kind of had, was trying to distinguish between the reality and the environment and what's triggering the anxiety or the paranoia that can kind of set in, like asking questions, like, why do you feel that, why do you feel like these people are here in this environment going against you, you know. So what is it that makes you feel like that? And also you got to look at it like somebody said millennials have been through some of the worst things. I wouldn't say that. A World War II, a nuclear bomb, Cold War. That's nothing I want to go through. But that generation, you got it. But 9/11 and SARS and a lot of those things, you know, are just as equivalent, and death, and not Death Storm, but Iraq and all those things can be emotionally stressful as well. You know,
Even the Israel Palestine stuff, that's really cuts people deep. Like that's like everybody fighting with themselves right in their own house. It's crazy.
Yeah, that can drive you mentally insane.
Well, it makes it hard to trust anything because, like you kept saying, like the other side of that potentially, like, you know, mental is strong beliefs for religion or just hyper focus. Like if you have some way that you're keeping it sacred or you're keeping yourself to a path that you honor, then I guess you have a certain ability to kind of stay clear from there. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that's the full truth. That's why you'd need to be open enough to make sure what you were believing was shared. You know, it wasn't just the world according to you. But, you know, that's the way people make it up so that they feel strong. It grows a confidence that you're right. You know, I find even myself when I would use story to like justify behavior, I would get other people to believe me and tell people what the other person said too. So it's true because it's not just me who said it. The person I told the story to, the way I think it said it too. Oh, shocking. What a surprise that you got somebody to think like you. You're the first one ever. You should go on a TV show.
and conversation about
right. You know, like you're pushing out your emotions, you're selling your song, and you're getting the other person to be like, yeah, and what about this? You're like, yeah, see, yeah, that's it. All right.
That's social media, you know, that's you know, that's how things are. And when you saying that, I kind of think about the 7 of Spades. I'm like, where's the 2 of Spades? You know, but yeah, that's definitely social media getting. You get that person that agrees with you. Now you both down with they got a mission and a cause and creating this reality around a certain subject or topic. But that's the power of 2, right? That's the power of creation.
Network and connect. It's true. It's true. So yeah. It's very interesting. And I'm really curious about this 3 of Spades week. I'm really looking forward to it. I sense it's going to be a little bit challenging to the ability to discern, but I'm into it. And I'm feeling these spades very strongly. And my son told us at dinner that there's a robot that you can buy. So we're going to watch the video and find out about the robot because we just saw the wild robot yesterday. And I just think the way the universe programs everything is pretty fascinating.
Like what's interesting, that came out like on the Jack of Clubs Day. I think we talked about it in the room too.
This movie, The Wild Robot's been out a little ahead of it, but it's all about, like it's just it's funny. It's a very funny, cute little kid movie. This robot becomes a mother to this little goose, and she means ready to be a mother, but she's task oriented, and they just make all these jokes about moms and getting it done. But it's a cute little story. She gets all the forest to talk to her. She got a little Snow White game going on. But she's a big old robot. So, and everybody ends up working together, you know, harmony and all that stuff I like to watch. My family laughs when I'm in the mood to just sit and be happy. I go watch Disney. I'm like, you know, even if it's not true, at least I'm getting themes of what they're laying down.
I think with the 3 of Spades week, you know, we may see an uptick on like health talk because this card can be a card of like hypochondria, you know, so... or like, you know, and it's going to be like having to manage your stress in healthy ways. I feel like this can be a very stressful energy if it's not handled well. It can cause you to overworry, overthink, because it is the card of like hypochondria type energy. So it's going to be really important that, you know, no matter what is like being shown and, you know, finding ways, because it transforms into the 4 of diamonds. So it does, you know, have the ability to have like the threes, a lot of the threes do. So there is that essence of wanting that stability, but you have to create that within yourself, right? You can't let what's being like pumped to you, shown to you to cause stress. Also, it also could be a very strong card of having a lot of success in your work, taking on a lot of work. So be careful overworking yourself, committing to things that you know you can't do. Sometimes that 3 can feel like you're being like torn in different directions and that you're just taking on too much. So this is going to be important that you find healthy ways to ground yourself, healthy ways to move that energy that doesn't cause you to, you know, overthink and overextend and overwork and then now you're, or not sleep. I think sometimes too, the 3 of Spades can have us so tense at times, or stress, or having too much, that we then lack in the sleep, lack in the rest. So find ways to soothe that energy. Could be good for like having multiple projects though. Like it's good busy energy. It'll keep you busy. You'll have a lot that you could accomplish. But I always say with those threes, it's like make sure you follow through. You're gonna have a whole bunch of things going on and get nothing done. You know what I mean? And you're just running around like a chicken with its head cut off because you just aren't, completing anything. So there's a lot of satisfaction when you accomplish. So look for ways that you can like follow through and get all the projects done. And you're going to see, there could be, again, I could see like maybe more talk about health stuff, just to, again, stress you and worry you out about things too. So just be mindful of you got to protect your own energy. Threes can be a little bit more sensitive, and they hear something, and next thing you know, now it's penetrated their mind, and now they're overthinking it and they're worried about it, huh? Right? Like that, Rashad, right? Like it just comes in, and next thing you know, now you're like, oh my God, and it's become the center. And they just have to find healthy ways to kind of relieve that stress.
Yeah, I was actually talking about that and stress of relationships. So going from a 2 of spades to a 3 of spades. So I can say definitely for me, not overdoing it as far as overcommitting to multiple things, multiple projects. I was like aiding and helping, managing, starting a business, a mailbox business, but also the lucrative opportunity of these trees that are on the ground that needs to be moved. And my cousin is a landscaper. Is just too sweet for me to like not take advantage of.
No, you should. I mean, they need help. Like you could do very, right now they're from Virginia all the way down to the Keys. There's trees that need to be, moved. You could work anywhere right now and do well, because it's just, even here. I mean, even here where I am, there's people, there's trees still. People haven't cleaned up their yards, and there's trees downs everywhere. So yeah, it's definitely a way to do it.
Yeah, and so that whole thing has really been. So my cousin is a jack of diamonds, so that's the so that's the other part. And so if I don't know if everyone can see, but the jack of I almost exit out. But the jack of diamonds. Let's see if I can zoom in, maybe. The challenge for the jack of diamonds is the 3 of spades, so that's why I mentioned that and why it's kind of important. So the 3 of spades and jack of diamonds kind of work hand in hand. They even at the highest level, he will take on projects and he doesn't even have all his workers. Like he's like hiring people the week before the job has to be done and trying to add people. So overdoing it, overworking yourself, doing multiple projects at once can be that energy as well. So he definitely kind of triggered it for me. But he's very successful as well. He has multiple businesses, and he also kind of like, I wouldn't say grew vertically. Is like he does landscaping. And he has a dump truck business, and dump trucks can also be used for landscaping. So and it's industrial landscaping, industrial mulch as well. So it's like had tons of mulch that he's spreading out. So it's a very good business, and the opportunity, like I said, is pretty good and very lucrative at the moment. Like just to give you an idea, 8 trees is around like $29,000.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the rate right now. So and I was driving around today. It was barely a street that I didn't see trees on the side of the road. Probably about 10 yards to 4. I wouldn't say 4 feet, probably like 3 feet, 4 feet high, maybe, with the base of the tree. Just dumping that is $2,000. So it's being in the South. I'm not gonna lie, I do appreciate that. is outside of being in the city, the landscape in the South is a lot better. I think, other than like just trash and construction. So it kind of balances itself out. So my 2 of spades week, that's kind of coming from there for us. me and him used to be in, or he really wants me to go in business with him and to really do like a family business type of thing, right? So it's kind of been I want to say hard, but being focused and knowing that this journey and this other partnership I have with the mailbox business is actually what I need to learn how to really grow a business from the bottom up, as far as within this industry. So there's a lot of different things. I don't want to give a thing because we also kind of have a plan around the education of doing it. So it's been a very good thing, but keeping balance within partnerships and relationships is to space things as well. Making sure that your partner or you not putting all your work on the other person, right? Is one of those things. So taking that energy, going to a 3 space week and trying to do three things, they're really not really. It's really not good. So threes are also meant to kind of find the middle ground and find focus, and then like I said, you can find different businesses and different avenues once you have a base within your business or within your structure of venturing out and using your creativity to create different streams of income within your business. So yeah, it's going to be I think an eventful week where we want to learn a lot, looking at the opportunities that's ahead, but also on the other side of that is money, debt, right? So I do get out of my little situation this week. I learned my lesson with hanging out with my friends financially, that I'm gonna be on the right course. So you reap what you sow, right? There's also a model for the 3 of spades. So the work you put in, making sure that you get paid for it, and also getting rid of your debt, or however, and that can also put you in those stressful situations where you're trying to juggle three jobs at once because of your financial debt and the things that you went through financially as well. So, but pressure creates inspiration, and it definitely creates diamonds. So, yeah. So, as far as the 3 of spades, was there anything else that you all want to go over or speak about? I think we kind of went through the 2 of spades. The only thing I wanted to speak about for my week was that 3 of hearts came alive from the 2 of spades for me, of not understanding and questioning and making sure I understand what other people are coming from emotionally, So that was another learning point for me. And understanding or maybe seeing some hidden things as far as people's sexuality, not and people questioning that. I think that by curiosity is something that the 2 of spades and 3 of hearts can kind of have as well. So I've seen that kind of face to face in my personal experience. So
And you're 34, right? So the 2 of spades is in the sun for you on this plate.
oh, okay, that makes, yeah, I didn't even look at my
And remember, your Pluto card is the 2 of diamonds. So, going into business is definitely not about just, you've got to make sure you protect yourself, make sure there's contracts, make sure you're not, when that 2 of diamonds is in Pluto, it's, you're dealing with other people's resources and values and, cooperation. So, and in your planetary ruling spread, your cosmic moon is the Jack of Diamonds. So just be mindful of, it being a sweet deal, and then you not just protect yourself. I don't care if it's family, your mama, your brother, your kid. You got to protect yourself. That's all. And yeah, the 2 of spades is in the sun for you.
Yeah, it was definitely a highlight week and very I'm trying not to say too much, but tell you, but a very eye-opening, as far as how people can be taken and misunderstood. But yeah, the work relationship and the partnership, I've been learning a lot. So it's been a learning experience, and it definitely was something that's contractual, so it's based upon the agreement with the 4 of spades, actually, which is the support of my 2 of diamonds. So that was who the business was with.
Oh wow.
So, but even then, also wholesaling and partnerships, you know, willing and dealing is a two of diamonds
Yeah.
energy as well. So taking advantage of that within chaos, right?
It's my Pluto card this year too. It's my Pluto card for life.
where
So,
you got the two of diamonds this year?
because I'm 45.
Word, that's dope. Okay, so how do you see that showing up for you?
Just working better with, looking at different. I've actually, it's funny that right as my birthday came, I was presented with a lot of different opportunities for partnerships. Doing maybe a possible couple podcast things came up for me. It's funny. I went to this metaphysics shop on Friday here locally, and I was telling, we were in the room on Clubhouse on Friday that I've seen them on Facebook a few times, and I'm like, oh, I want to go in this place. I'd love to check it out because they have, teas and, books and crystals, and it's a really, I had never been there, so I didn't know what it looked like inside, but something has been telling me to go in this store. And then I had seen them post that like they have like monthly events, and they did like, tarot and tea. They had, readings and stuff like that. So it was like even more that like maybe I should go in and talk to them. Maybe they will be open to, doing, having different readers there, especially knowing that they probably have not heard of Cardology. And, it'd be really cool to introduce it to them and see if they'd be open to it. So on Friday, a Jack of Clubs day, I went up there, and the place was really cool, really nice inside, really warming, very inviting, and just started shooting the shit with the owners, and didn't even like bring it up right off the rip. I was asking them questions. I was just talking to them, and then I said, you guys do readings. I said, oh yeah, he does tarot. She's more psychic mediumship, and I was like, oh, it's dope. And then I was like, do you guys have other readers come in? They're like, yeah, we'll have special guests, blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, have you ever heard of Cardology? And they were like, no. And then I, just gave them a little bit of an introduction. And I said, well, when's your birthday? I said, the beauty about this, system is you don't need birth time. You don't need birth location to see your birthday. And I got the gentleman's birthday. He was a 7 of clubs. Here you are running a spiritual shop. Hello. That was easy. And I just gave him a little brief reading about the 7 of clubs, and he was floored. And then when his wife comes, he's like, I'm not going to tell you her birthday. I want her to hear this. So she comes over, and I, tell her a little bit about the cards and get her birthday. She's a 3 of clubs. I was like, oh, you're his Mars card. And they were just like, how did you know? And so now on October 26th, I'm their guest reader for tarot and tea. So yeah, I'll be doing, I'm excited about it. It'll be fun. And, kind of actually being in front of people. So if you're in the Orlando, Sanford area and you see this and want to come, it's called Dear Universe. It's in Sanford off of First Street. And it'll be on October 26th. From 11 to 7, and readings. It's a really cool shop. A lot of crystals, tarot cards, books, incense, candles. I mean, jewelry. It's a really, really welcoming place. And their tea selection is out of this world. They do like on this Monday, tomorrow, they're having like a Reiki share. Then they do like, ceremonies for the full moon, the new moon. So it's a really cool spot, and I'm looking forward. They called me today. We talked for a little bit. I'll start sharing about it. I'm going to make some flyers and start sharing about the event, but I'm really excited to like get out there and really just introduce people to the system that is so beneficial and so incredible to understand and just get insight. So I'm excited. I think the 26th is the 9 of Hearts Day, so even more because I love that energy.
That's dope. What is that day for you personally? You said
that's a good question, Rashad. I don't know. I didn't even look. Give me a second.
What? Well, once I find out, I'm gonna go and watch.
I got Ace of Diamonds and a 4 of Clubs that day. It's my Uranus day.
Perfect. Yeah, Gina, that sounds like you get to where you go. Like that, whenever I've heard you share about it, it's like, wow, look at Gina just going right where she goes, like falling right into a perfect spot to do her thing. I love it.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think it'll be cool. And like I said, they were like, even today, they left a message, and when they called, they were like, it was just crazy how you knew this from the birthday. So, I'm really excited to bring this to people, more intimately. So yeah, we'll see. Told him I may come to the full moon ceremony that they're doing, just to kind of, get them more familiar with me and get a feel for the community that comes out there, and just, connect with people. So I think it'll be dope.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I love it.
And I shouldn't have to ask, but if y'all want to see us like locally, hit us up on Instagram in the inbox. Let us know. Sometimes we don't know that we, should be out touring and maybe helping.
I know a friend who wants me to come. I have a friend whose friend is having a Halloween party, and she has asked me to come and do readings at the Halloween party. I was like,
What to wear? What to wear?
My card costume. Hello.
I went. Oh yeah, the what did you have? The King of Clubs.
I have the King of Hearts and the Queen of Hearts. I got both.
She's the royal family. She has her parents with her. She comes with the whole royal family.
I just thought about that today, card costumes. But we having a party. I'm gonna be Gambit.
But my little one told me I'm not allowed to wear it this Halloween. She said no.
Oh yeah, you said she didn't like it last year.
She's like, I'm not gonna go out with you like that. I said, why not? It's fun.
But before we got
I was like, I'll dress the dog up. Can I get the dog a card costume? She said, hell no.
That's a yearly thing. That's a yearly tradition. She just doesn't know. It has a good tradition. But before we got in here, let's go through the comments. I was going through every now and then. Someone said they're in the Three of Clubs 52-day period. And so as far as the 52-day periods, it kind of helps to know if it's Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, like which 52-day period it is. But definitely, and also other than it being just a 52-day period, like this is age spread 46. So she always call on one. This is age spread 46. So like the Four of Clubs is sitting Mars, Jupiter. Well, just a reset. That's not a good example. So 48. So this period of the Three of Hearts is in Mars, Saturn, right? So that is going to be a little different than just saying that is Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Uranus or Neptune. So that is actually outside of what you see on Instagram. That's why that information is really incomplete sometimes, because you're not getting the full reading of the Mars and Saturn position. You may just be getting the Mercury read of the Three of Hearts, right? So you have to put all three of those things together. It's Mercury and it's Mars, Saturn. So what would that be like? So there could be restrictions or miscommunication, or maybe telling somebody off that you didn't mean to, right? It could be one of those things that kind of come up, or maybe something from your past coming up and it was from another person, right? So or a third party may have overheard something. So those are kind of like the things that come from a Three of Hearts, or or your ex could pull up to your house with your new Buddha, right? So you never know what can happen with that type of energy. So that's kind of how you look at the periods and how you kind of read those. So like the Three of Clubs, kind of the same way. Where would it be? Would it be more telling, kind of more helpful? But overall, Three of Clubs and Mercury, just the Three of Clubs period is a focus around communication, as well. So it's very important to understand these plates and how to read them. I kind of feel like we need to do a master class or something, Gina, where we give people a day or maybe 2 days of learning how to read your spread and your charts. Maybe a good 20 people, $30 to $20. And we go through having 2 days worth of going through your yearly spreads or charts and teaching you kind of how to read different positions. I don't know. Just kind of got inspired.
Yeah, I did that. I did a webinar What? I'm not. I think this weekend coming up, I may do another webinar on Pluto, because that one was, I had a lot. That one was really good, and I think I want to do, since Pluto went direct, and we have Pluto leaving Capricorn here come in November for the last time. I think I want to do another webinar on Pluto, and I may do it Saturday or Sunday this weekend coming up. I'll post about it. I'll let people know. I haven't decided yet. This week is, or this whole month has just been crazy with the weather, and the weekends being a little wacky. But so I didn't really schedule any webinars for this month. I said if I was going to do any, I'd just do like a pop up one. So I think I might do a pop up one this Saturday on Pluto and our reward card. It's kind of similar to the first one that I did, because it's so in depth and powerful to have a grasp on Pluto. And I even taught, when I did the webinar on like how to read, like doing the mini readings and reading the plates, someone just said if you were to have to briefly look at someone's spread, right, what would be the cards that you look at? And I always look at the card you're displacing, the card you're sitting in the house of, the long range card or the yearly card, and then the Pluto and the reward card. I can give a reading just from those. You can really see a good amount of what they'll be enduring or what's happening that year just from those cards. So yes, reading these plates is very important. And what I've been helping people do is I'm big on like, come out of the spread, see the whole plate, see the whole picture. Because let's just say like you're sitting, I don't know, the Three of Hearts house, and you meet someone, because you probably would be sitting in the house of the Three of Hearts, and let's say that person isn't directly in your spread. Well, if you're only looking in your spread, then to me, I feel like this whole plate tells a story. So I would look at, well, where, obviously, what's their card, what's your composite with that card, but where is that card sitting on that plate, in the year that you're in, that you're meeting this person, because it'll tell you maybe that kind of energy that they're, coming. Maybe that if you're sitting in the Three of Hearts and they're sitting, they're the tenant. I mean, I know this is their life spread, but let's say they are the 10 of diamonds, and you're 45 and whatever. So but you get where I'm going. Like, it's not directly in your spread. Take your, like, zoom out of the spread, see the whole plate. There's a whole story on the whole plate. But yes, it's good to know your spread, but be able to come out of it and see the whole thing. It's telling a story.
Right. So you were saying if they're displacing the Three of Hearts?
Yeah, like if someone was displacing the Three of Hearts, right? And let's say, okay, the Queen of Clubs, since you have it up here. And let's say the Queen of Clubs met a Jack of Diamonds. Obviously, that Jack of Diamonds is not directly in their spread, but they're sitting in the house of the Three of Spades, and that's a Saturn Jupiter placement. So there you could be learning something from them. And if you were to be, maybe there's something that they're teaching you that can actually be very rewarding if you can take the time to listen. So they're not directly in your spread, but they're sitting in that house, and they may be bringing that energy. So it's just good to be able to come out and see the whole plate. You know what I mean? Because we get so focused on our spread, which is so very important. It is. But I get to the point where I zoom out of the spread and I look at the whole plate, and the whole plate will tell the whole story.
Yeah. And some of you get readings and you want to do readings for other people, then you may get readings to learn how to read people, because the way I do my readings is a lot of times I bring up the spread, but also if you are doing that, please let me know, maybe after I'm done for me personally. but let us know as well, because there could be things within the spread that, or like she just stated, I wouldn't tell nobody that, like I'm not going to come out and tell you, oh, because the Three of Hearts is in their Jack of Diamonds and they're sitting here, that's, I'll just tell you, it could be a relationship where you're learning, want to have fun. It could be somebody else that could possibly come, or it could be someone new that come in between the relationship. But I wouldn't get stressed about that particular person or that situation, because you meant to open up. It may be meant to meet another person or to learn from a different perspective about your own maybe personal relationship, or maybe, you know, learn from your mistakes in some type of way. But it's one of those things where you just want to kind of let us know if you are trying to learn how to do readings while getting a reading. But yeah, those are things that we really don't say and kind of speak about. So that's why webinars and those things are pretty good, because we kind of give you an inside perspective of what we learned and what we kind of don't say on Instagram either. So everything on Instagram, just take it as surface level, because that's what it really is. It's not really expounded upon. Like today, I put Neptune, Mars, but the energy that it really is, as far as the Two of Spades, and that gives me the most clarity is reading this particular. I'm not going to say, but reading this as Mars in Pisces, as far as the Two of Spades. So that's kind of as one of the energies that I kind of read the Two of Spades with, is like that Mars and Pisces type of energy. So if you're into astrology, you can take that as a clue. Is it Mars Pisces going this way, or Mars, or how's it going? But so yeah, let me
Yeah, I
see.
think it's when you're like they said, if someone's coming to you for something specific, like I said, if someone is displacing a certain house, right, and they come for a reading because this person came into their life, and you look in their spread and they're like, oh, they're not in your spread, so maybe it's not relevant, but where they sit on that plate is relevant, to you, and how they may even show up to you. So I think, again, it's so good to be able to kind of see the whole plate, the whole picture. I always look at what's sitting in the sun. I look at what's sitting Jupiter. I look what's sitting behind you. I look what's crowning you. I look at a lot of different aspects of this plate, because the whole plate, like I said, is telling a story. And I also read the planetary ruling spread. I feel like if you're gonna get a reading, you need to look at that. Like if you're not getting if you're getting a reading and the planetary ruling spread is not included, to me that's just like you're missing so much, because it's just, you can find so much in that spread, and it's just as important. So I feel like you want to know that as well. Even like my weekly readings, you're getting a read for your birth card spread and your planetary ruling card spread, because it's just as important, it's just as relevant. So, and that's why when we were talking about you, I went right to your Ace of Spades, because that they're going to tell a story. You know what I mean? They're working energetically together.
Mhm.
So why would you not read them? So that's just as important,
Yeah,
for at
and
least for my readings.
I'm not going to tell you I'm looking at your planetary rule. I'm not. I may read it, but I'm not going to tell you. But relationships in cards is always. I think we kind of said this prior, or maybe a couple weeks ago. When you first get into tarot or astrology or any type of metaphysical science, a lot of times it is because of relationships and trying to understand relationships, and kind of like. Hmm? Oh. And kind of like the King of Spades, and what I was speaking about earlier, this spiritual science is to help you understand, the laws of people, nature, personalities, habits, and all those things. The King of Spades, Queen of Spades are the witches, and the Two of Spades is the black magician, right? So when it comes to relationships, these are tools to help you within your relationships and how to understand people, understand yourself and what periods you in. What's your mood? Why do your mood change? What's your habits and your lifestyle, and those things that could be changing within this period. So these sciences are used to help you understand. They are not, but they are not quick fixes. It's not going to be easy success because you found the perfect match. I don't feel like there are any perfect matches, because relationships are work. That's what the Two of Spades teaches us. That's what we kind of been talking about, is the work that is in relationships, and once you have that understanding, you know what to work on. So that is how it helps you. It's not just a quick fix. So yeah, use the information and the knowledge to kind of help you learn about your relationships and learn about what your partner wants. Learn about you know the ups and their down periods within their 52-day period. What are the extremes of that card possibly, and what could have caused that misunderstanding. So we appreciate you all. Next week we'll be going into a three of spades week. So I've definitely learned a lot about friendships and relationships this week. Nothing too bad. It was all really nine of clubs is actually the pessimistic thinker sometimes. So it could be negative thinking. So there was a little bit of negative thinking that was mixed in with the alcohol of the misunderstanding, but it did make out to be could have been a pretty good TV show. I'll tell you. It was like it was a mystery, right? It was definitely a mystery trying to figure it out. So, but we'll see you all next week. Was there anything else that you wanted to go on, Gina?
Nope. Like I said, I'll do a post. If I do a webinar on Saturday on Pluto, and then like I said, if you're local to the Orlando area, Central Florida area, I'll be posting about the in-person readings. Yeah, I'm excited about that. I think that'll be fun. Other than that, this week coming up, I know Mars is opposing Pluto from what Rob was saying in that clubhouse room that we did for quite some time. So, and makes kind of sense with the energy that we're under. We're getting closer to the election time, and I think the Three of Spades week is going to be a little, busy, and so find ways to ground yourself, find ways to relieve some stress naturally, healthy ways, have patience, try not to take on too much. That's going to be key. Don't overwhelm yourself, don't overcommit yourself. Make sure you're resting, turn off the TV. There's even more hype. It's crazy how quickly, once this storm passed, there were already people coming out saying there's another one coming directly in the same path. And so you see the fear, you see the hype, log off and be present. Sometimes threes, they struggle with the present because they're, constantly looking or busy. So it'll be really important that you find a solid base and a solid place to kind of, ground yourself into and take care of your health, get rest, disconnect, ground yourself, connect with with Mother Earth as best as you can in this week. Because like I said, these energies, Three of Spades is a card that can overdo it. So procrastinate and worry. So those are the lower sides. But the high side is get creative, play, have fun. That'll help relieve some of the tension that can come with that energy. That's, I think, a big part for those threes. They're fun cards. They're social, very social cards too. So it definitely is important, to do things that, get you out and moving around, so you don't become stagnant with that energy as well, or overwhelmed with it. But yeah, that's it.
All right. Well, like you said, don't overwork yourself. You reap what you sow, right? Make sure you pay off all your debts. Anybody call you, make sure you answer the phone. I know how I was raised. We don't answer bill collector calls, but so you may want to reach a settlement, But thank you all. We'll see you all next week. Thank you all for your participation, questions, and everything that you bring to the card table as well. Like we said, we bring you our lives, and you all bring us, your interaction and the questions that you ask. Help us bring those aspects out of us and make us kind of dive a little bit deeper. Um, let's see. Someone asked one more. Let's see if we can answer this quickly. What about the seven of diamonds and the eight of spades? They aren't in each other's spread, right? The seven of diamonds, the seven transforms to eight of clubs. So no, they're not in the spread.
The eight of spades has the nine of hearts. It's Neptune card, so it does kind of have the seven of diamonds connected to it there.
Yeah, with the Nine of Hearts as the support and challenge. So it's not in that directly, but if you're reading, and why is that important? Or why Gina said, if I'm reading the Nine of Hearts, I'm also reading that Eight of Spades vertically in Mercury for the Nine of Hearts.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I actually had the Nine of Hearts hit me up today. so, um, so yeah, it's a indirect link to the Eight of Spades. Yeah. So
Yeah, no,
whenever
they're
you
not.
read
Yeah,
them,
they're not in each other's spreads, but that directly, right? But yeah, because of the Nine of Hearts being connected to the Seven of Diamonds, there is still, a connection, I would say. And even like what I find interesting about the sevens is that one does transform into an eight, the Eight of Clubs. So that 7 and 8 dance is really interesting because when you see like a lot of the sevens have the eights as either challenging karma cards or vice versa. So they are connected.
yeah. And speaking of Pilates chakras, oh my gosh, her workouts have been sent. To be honest, if you have, I was just talking to my cousin who's 40, talking about working out and managing their cholesterol levels, high blood pressure, and all those issues. Actually, Nine of Hearts, right, can come with that. But if they listen and actually have some type of discipline and work out, they wouldn't have all those issues or problems. 70 diamonds can have high blood pressure and those things as well. But physical activity defeats all of those issues, stagnation mentally and physically. So that's kind of the lesson around the Eight of Spades for those particular cards. So definitely appreciate your work. And I have some of those videos on my YouTube. Definitely, I need to get back in there because, like I said, I just had that conversation today about not working out, which I actually went to a couple yoga spots in LA, which through a couple friendships was pretty cool. So I did enjoy it. But that fire breathing workout that we did, that was crazy. That was crazy. Got to see that again. So I wanted to encourage her to get on her IG and stuff and give us some previews. So get y'all involved and get y'all excited about them. So definitely, 3 space as well. Workout, physicality, those
Yeah,
things.
try something, take a new class. That could be something you do in this week. Maybe you take a Pilates class or a yoga class, or, I could see getting readings with the 3 energy. I could see, doing, even like just going a different way to the store, going to another store. Just again, trying something that you normally wouldn't do is a big, I think, 3 energy. Branch out a little bit and kind of like that 5 energy. Um, and they can be social. I think that's a good thing too, to get a little bit social with that
Yeah.
energy. Or they can be emu. It can go either way. you know. But I think it's a
Yeah.
good because we're talking about the spades, just good again, doing different things for your health, your work, and your spiritual practices is gonna be, key. And I love Pilates. That's been my new love. I've been procrastinating. Like I ended up having to stop because when I have the baby that I watch, it kind of interfere with my schedule. But then I realized it's just an excuse because you can just wake up earlier. But I have not done that, so that's my problem. But I do want to get back into it. And you know what? This may be the week that I do it, like consistently. I've been doing it, but I need to get back to the consistency that I was doing before because it is really good for your body.
Madeline made a point as well, looking at the transformation of each card within your personal spread is a connection as well. So yeah, there's a connection also. But 2 of spades, take accountability. So you gotta take accountability, making sure you get out there up to your end. There's no drudgery within the work, even if you're not compensated 2 of spades, unfortunately. But if you gotta do it, you gotta do it. So there's no compensation within working out. It's just a physical result. So,
Yep, exactly. Well, Rashad,
but
thank you. We'll see you next week, everybody.
yeah,
Enjoy the
see you
week.
all.
We'll see you
Thank
next
you.
Sunday.
Enjoy.
Bye. Peace.